And so here Jesus is saying, because you're faithful, you hold on to my word, I'm going to open up a door for you. I'm going to give you some great opportunities. So I want to share with you 4 things that grit leads to. Number 1, grit leads to great opportunities. I think about David, and he's practicing his harp. Do you think maybe he cut his fingers on the harp, or you think he ever got frustrated, yet he was gritty when it came to learning that harp? And therefore, in time, a great door opened for him, so he was able to step into the palace and serve King Saul right there in the palace. His grit led to an open door. I think about when David was practicing his slingshot. And maybe while he was practicing, he smashed his eye a few times. And he would be walking around with a big, bruised black eye. And his brothers probably made fun of him, yet that didn't stop him. He kept practicing, and he took down lions, he took down bears, and that grit led to an open door where he was given the opportunity to take down Goliath and to be perfectly positioned to step into his destiny. So grit leads to opportunities. Grit leads to open doors. And so we just need to be faithful. We need to be gritty and watch God open doors for us. And the reason why maybe God hasn't opened the door for us is because we're not ready for what's on the other side. Because it's our job to get ready, and then it's God's job to open the door. Our responsibility is to prepare, and God's responsibility is to promote. Our job is to develop our skill, and it's God's responsibility to determine our scope. And so, we prepare, we practice, and God sets up the platform and gives us the keys to it, or opens the door to it in His time. So God is saying, Jesus is saying to this church in Philadelphia, you've been faithful. I've seen your deeds. I've seen you hold fast. You've been gritty. And therefore, I'm going to open to you a big door. I looked up this word door in the Greek, and it's this word thora. And it speaks of these massive, solid doors that were locked with a heavy bolt, so no amount of human strength can break it down unless you're like Thor or something, But these are massive doors, and so if you're going to try to break down the door with human effort, you're going to hurt yourself. And so how many of you just get frustrated because you want to see a door open? You get impatient with that closed door because you got a glimpse of what's on the other side. And so here we are just pounding the door down, but it's futile. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of effort because those doors aren't going to open until God opens those doors. And we're just going to hurt ourselves trying. And so I think, we get impatient, and yet have you realized that our timing and God's timing is not the same? I found that when you are trying to bust through a closed door, it just feels really forced, and you're just draining all your energy. But when God is opening a door, there's a ton of favor there. You see the fingerprints of God there. So, man, just because a door closes doesn't mean the heaven's rejecting you, just redirecting you into something that's better for you. So keep your eye open, because just because one door is closed doesn't mean all the doors are closed. There's another door that will be open. My daughter has a cousin who's 1 month younger than her named Clara, and they're inseparable. And so she found out last week that her cousin Clara is going on a family trip to the San Diego Zoo, and Eden wasn't invited. So Eden started crying many tears because she wasn't able to grow. I think she had some meltdowns, maybe about 3-4 times. And yet, you know what she did after a while? After her 3rd or 4th meltdown, she just decided to get out her paper and get out her crayons, and she drew a giraffe. And then she drew a zebra and colored it. And then she drew some horses and colored them. And then she made about 13, 14 different animals and taped them all to our walls. And she decided that even though the door to San Diego Zoo was closed, she was going to open Eden Zoo. And so she printed out some tickets, and she gave mom and dad a ticket. And she put her brother on the floor, who was wearing a white onesie. And if you know my 5-month-old son, he's pale. So she put him on the floor and said, "That is a polar bear cub." And then Meg's like, "Oh, can we take him home?" Eden's like, "Just this one time, you can take an animal from the zoo home." But anyway, I was just so proud of her that instead of having a pity party all weekend because she couldn't go to the zoo, she wiped away her tears so she was able to see the opportunity. And she was able to seize the opportunity. I just want to speak to somebody where the door closed. And instead of crying, I want you to wipe away your tears. I want to encourage you to see the door that is opening in front of you. Because just because one door is closed doesn't mean all the doors are closed. And not every door has your name on it, because different doors lead to different destinations. And God has a unique destiny that He's customized just for you. And the best way to miss your own destiny is try to imitate somebody and walk through all the doors that somebody else is walking through. And following them, you miss where you're supposed to be. Now, sometimes it's the right door. It's just the wrong timing. It's the right door, and yet it's the wrong timing. And I know we can get impatient. We want to break that door. God showed you what's on the other side. You see your name on it. You really believe that that's for you. And yet it may not be the time yet. And I just want to stop and share something that will make you less anxious about busting through that door right now or prematurely. Is on the other side of that door is not a vacation. On the other side of new doors are new battles. When God opens a door, yes, there's new opportunities, yet there's also new opposition. That's what Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 9. He says that a great door for effective work was open to me. And I know we rejoice about that. Yes, effective work. I love that. And yet the second part of that verse is, and there was great opposition waiting for me there. So just want to remind you that some doors aren't open because maybe we're not ready for what's on the other side. And so you don't need to be so anxious about busting that door open, because it's not a vacation. It's not pina coladas on the other side. You know, there's a war. Yeah, there is milk and honey, yet there's giants in the land too. Okay, so at the right time, those doors will open.